He wasn't the driver. He wasn't the boyfriend. He had nothing to do with any of it. Davion Flanagan was 19 years old. He got in the car, and he never got out.
Any more units to progress now, Amita?
Just pull the charger. Yep.
Oh my God.
Start looking for a wall.
She's breathing. She's breathing. Her head's wedged. Let's see if we can get some IDs, guys.
5 Netflix documentaries, 5 people they couldn't center. This is who they missed. July 31st, 2022. Strongsville, Ohio. A graduation party winding down. Late summer night. The kind of night that feels like it should end safely. Davion Flanagan was 19 years old. He was at that party because people he knew were there. A social connection, not a close friendship. Just people he knew. A summer night, a party. He was not in a relationship with Mackenzie Shirilla. He was not close with her boyfriend, Dominic Russo. He had nothing to do with whatever was happening between them. He just got in the car, the way you do. Because why wouldn't you? Because it's late and someone's driving and that's how you get home. The driver was Mackenzie Shirilla, 17 years old. In the passenger seat, Dominic Russo, 20, her boyfriend of roughly 4 years. They had just moved in together. 1 minute after they entered a business park near the party, the car hit the side of a brick building at 100 miles per hour. No braking, no skid marks, full acceleration into a wall.
Radio. This car's split in two. Send us some squad now. We gotta bust the window out. Oh my God. Oh my God. Times 3, guys. Radio, 3 occupants.
Mackenzie survived. Dominic Russo did not. Davion Flanagan did not. Police initially called it a tragic accident. The deeper they looked, the less it looked like one. Security footage showed the car entering the business park, speeding up, fast, and then the wall. No braking, no attempt to stop. Investigators went through the phones, texts, social media, a relationship documented in real time. 2 weeks before the crash, Dom called his mother. He said Mackenzie was driving dangerously. He said he needed help.
Incident about 2 weeks before the crash where Dominic had called his mother. He was telling his mother that Mackenzie was driving erratically and threatening to crash the car.
A family friend testified that she had heard Mackenzie, in the background of a phone call, threaten to crash the car. Mackenzie never spoke to police. She did not testify at her trial. In August 2023, Judge Nancy Margaret Russo found her guilty of 2 counts of aggravated homicide. She chose a course of death and destruction.
Today is the sentencing of the defendant for the purposeful and intentional murders of Davion Flanagan and Dominic Russo. Specifically, she chose a date just before her 18th birthday. I'm troubled that should I give you a concurrent sentence. So she's sentenced on count 2, the murder of Davion Flanagan, 15 years to life. She's sentenced on count 1, the murder of Dominic Russo, 15 years to life, to be served concurrent to each other.
2 concurrent sentences, 15 years to life, eligible for parole in 2037. In 2026, Netflix released The Crash. For the first time, Mackenzie spoke on camera from prison. "I'm not a monster," she said. She claimed a medical condition called POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. It can cause dizziness, sudden blackouts. She suggested this may explain those final seconds at the wheel. The court did not accept it. Her first appeal has already been denied. The documentary's lead prosecutor described those final seconds with one phrase that has stayed with everyone who heard it: the black hole. No one will ever know exactly what happened inside that car in the moment before impact. Only Mackenzie survived. Only Mackenzie knows.
The second after she killed my brother and Davion, within hours of killing 2 young men, she laid in a hospital bed making TikToks and trying to get modeling gigs on Instagram. That's all she's ever cared about. So it is infuriating that this did so well, because she has exactly what she wants. About 2 weeks before she killed my brother and Davion, she was driving her vehicle down the highway, where they started to fight. She threatened to kill him. She was driving erratically. Dom called his mom for help, and there's witnesses to that were there and heard this. And then Dom had to get picked up from the side of the road.
The documentary also raises a question the trial didn't fully answer. Prosecutors used Mackenzie's entire digital life as a weapon. Texts, posts, phone records, character built from a screen. Her defense argued this was unfair, that her online presence was stripped of context. The filmmakers say that tension is exactly what drew them to the case, a generation's worth of digital documentation used to reconstruct a personality for a courtroom. Dom's family says justice was served. Mackenzie's family says it wasn't, and Davion Flanagan's family lost a 19-year-old son who had been in Mackenzie Shirilla's social orbit for 3 weeks. He got in the car. He trusted her. He was gone. Netflix built the crash around Mackenzie Shirilla. The trial was about Mackenzie Shirilla. Davion Flanagan appears in the documentary. His family appears. His death is documented. But the documentary could not center him, because the legal argument wasn't about him, because there was no case to build around a passenger, because the story that resolves, the trial, the verdict, the sentence, was Mackenzie's story. Davion's story doesn't resolve. It just ends. He was in her life for roughly 3 weeks. He had no idea what was happening between her and Dom. He got in the car at the end of a graduation party because that's how you get home. Netflix built a documentary around a woman who may have taken 2 lives. One of those people had been in her orbit for 3 weeks.
Stuck on that yellow line?
What
about that tie?
I'm gonna hold up.
I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davion. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate.
7 babies died in a British hospital between 2015 and 2016. A jury convicted one nurse of causing their deaths. She was sentenced to spend the rest of her life in prison. And now, for the first time, the scientists who helped build the case against her are saying something that has never been said publicly before. We may have gotten it wrong. Her name is Lucy Letby.
Oh, Lucy, is it?
Yes.
Hello, my name's Cheshire Police. Look, it's step in 2 seconds.
Yes?
Yeah, thank you.
I'm arresting you on suspicion of murder and attempted murder. I appreciate it's quite a shock.
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay, just take a seat in there for me, Lucy. I'll move that seat forward a bit.
She has been called the most prolific child killer in modern British history. The question this segment will not answer, because it genuinely cannot be answered yet, is whether that description is true.
Police say they've arrested 3 members of the senior leadership team at the hospital where nurse Lucy Letby murdered 7 babies.
As far as a normal person looking at the case would ever think, because it is clearly outside the realms of normal behaviour, normal thinking. But in this particular case, you can see that there's a glimmer.
Lucy Letby was 32 years old, quiet, dedicated, easy to overlook. She had worked at the Countess of Chester Hospital since 2012. By 2015, she had qualified for the neonatal intensive care unit. In a fluorescent-lit hospital office in Chester, 2 consultants began building a document. Every unexpected death on the ward, every sudden collapse, every crisis, and who was on shift every single time. One name appeared in every column. Lucy Letby. The document went to hospital management. For 2 years, nothing happened. Letby kept working. More babies deteriorated on her shifts. When the document finally reached police, it became the spine of the prosecution. In August 2023, the jury found her guilty. 7 counts of taking a life, 7 counts of attempted harm, whole life imprisonment, never to be released. Police found handwritten notes in her home. Insulin was detected in blood samples. Her presence was documented at every incident. The jury heard the evidence. They deliberated. They convicted her.
Well, Lucy Letby was convicted of murdering 7 babies and attempting to murder 6 babies in August last year. But very quickly after she was sentenced, she began the process of trying to appeal those sentences because she was given 14 whole life terms. Now,
parents of the convicted baby killer, Lucy Letby, have told Good Morning Britain their daughter is innocent and the victim of a horrendous miscarriage of justice.
The argument begins with a problem in statistics called the Texas sharpshooter fallacy. The idea is this: if you fire enough bullets at a barn wall, then walk up afterward and draw a target around the cluster, it looks like you were aiming. But you weren't. You just drew the target after the fact. Applied to this case, if you only look for patterns on one nurse's shifts and don't apply the same scrutiny to everyone else's, you can generate a correlation that looks damning even when it isn't. A group of international statisticians reviewed the case files. Their position stated plainly: if you look hard enough at any single person's shifts in a hospital under that level of pressure, you will find a pattern. That is not the same thing as evidence. They argued further that the Countess of Chester Hospital was understaffed, overwhelmed, operating under extraordinary pressure. Neonatal mortality rates in underfunded NHS units had been rising. They argued several of the babies may have deteriorated from natural causes or from systemic failures in care, unrelated to Letby at all. Prosecutors and many neonatal experts disagree strongly. They stand by the medical evidence, the insulin, the notes, the forensic analysis of each case. The debate has reached the British Parliament. It has reached the Criminal Cases Review Commission. An application for appeal has been formally submitted.
Some breaking news to bring you from the last hour. The child killer, Lucy Letby, has lost her appeal to challenge her convictions for the murders of 7 babies and the attempted murder.
The applicant, Lucy Letby, was convicted in August 2023 of 7 counts of murder and 7 counts of attempted murder. She has applied to the Court of Appeal Criminal Division for leave to appeal against her convictions. She put forward 4 grounds of appeal, each of which involved a submission that the trial judge wrongly refused applications that she made during her trial.
In 2026, Netflix released the investigation of Lucy Letby, made with ITN Productions, working directly with UK police. It includes never-before-seen footage, interviews with the detectives, a friend of Letby's, and, for the first time, the anonymized voice of a victim's mother. The documentary made a controversial choice. To protect the mother's identity, the filmmakers digitally altered her image and voice using AI. Some viewers found it innovative. Many others found it deeply unsettling. Critics said it undercut the emotional weight of her testimony. The documentary presents both sides, conviction and doubt. What it cannot do, what any single documentary cannot do, is synthesize the statistical argument in plain language for the audience that just finished watching it. So you are left with a verdict, and you're left with the doubt. Netflix made a documentary about a conviction. The scientists who helped convict her are now saying, "We're not sure she is what we said she was." August 12th, 2021. Moab, Utah. Red Rock Canyon. Dry heat. The kind of afternoon light that burns orange off the desert by 4 p.m. 2 trained police officers pulled over a white van. A witness had called. They'd seen a physical altercation on the street. The officers separated the couple. The man, calm, cooperative, controlled. His name was Brian Laundrie. The woman was 22 years old. She was crying, shaking, her words coming out in fragments. She said it was her fault. She said she had anxiety. She got worked up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just some days I have really bad OCD, and I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean because...
In any trouble. So, just go ahead and take a seat.
Gabrielle, you talking to my fiance, right?
What's that?
You should talk to Gabrielle, right?
Yeah, I just spoke to her.
Yeah.
So, you want to do me a favor? Let's go ahead and get you to step out of the vehicle, alrighty?
Yeah, I was yelling at him, and then when you turned your lights on, I kind of punched his arm like you're just an idiot.
So she's saying why he hit the curb. You said it was Gabby?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm really bad. It was Gabby?
Yeah.
The officers saw scratches on her face, marks on his. They wrote a report. They separated the couple for the night. Then they let the van drive away. 9 days later, Gabby Petito was gone.
Every day brings a new layer in the investigation into the death of Gabby Petito, and just moments ago the FBI did confirm the remains found 2 days ago in Wyoming are in fact Gabby's.
5:14 right now. Some new information this morning. A Wyoming coroner has now ruled Gabby Petito's death as a homicide, citing manual strangulation.
The coroner also said her murder likely happened 3 to 4 weeks before her body was.
The Netflix documentary includes the full, unedited body cam footage, uncut, from that afternoon in Moab. Watch it, because what it shows is not just a police stop, it is a textbook example of what coercive control looks like when it is standing directly in front of you. Gabby Petito is crying and apologizing for something she may not have started. She is protecting the person beside her. She is minimizing her own fear in real time. She is displaying the behavioral patterns that trained domestic violence investigators are taught to recognize. A victim who presents as the aggressor, a victim who blames herself, a victim who apologizes to the officers responding to her own distress call. The officers saw all of it. They wrote it down. Their report documented the signs. Then they let the van drive away. That stop is now studied in police training programs across America. A case study in what happens when a woman apologizing is read as the problem rather than the evidence of one. September 19th, 2021. Gabby's remains were found near Spread Creek, close to Grand Teton National Park.
We have breaking news at this hour. The FBI confirming the body found in Wyoming at Grand Teton National Park is in fact Gabby Petito.
Full forensic identification has not been completed to confirm 100% that we found Gabby, but her family has been notified of this discovery. We appreciate your continued support and patience as we work through this process.
She had been strangled. Brian Laundrie had already driven her van back to Florida, alone, said nothing to anyone, then told his parents he was going for a hike. In October, human remains were found in a Florida nature reserve. Brian Laundrie, beside his body, a notebook. In the notebook, he admitted to ending her life. He claimed she was suffering. Investigators do not believe that account.
The FBI and the Northport Police Department and our state and local law enforcement partners have been searching the area of the Carlton Reserve for Brian Laundrie, a person of interest in the murder of Gabby Petito. Earlier today, investigators found what appears to be human remains, along with personal items, such as a backpack and notebook belonging to Brian Laundrie.
The autopsy did not support it. He never faced a courtroom. He took his own life before police could arrest him. In 2022, Gabby's family brought a civil action against his parents. They settled for $3 million. No criminal charges were ever filed against the Laundrie family. After Brian died, it emerged he had used Gabby's phone to send messages to her family, pretending to be her. He transferred money from her account. Every text, every transaction, logged, time-stamped. Later used to reconstruct what he did. Netflix used Gabby's own footage, her voice, her journals, her words. The documentary became the #1 show on the platform. It reignited a national conversation about coercive control. But the argument at the center of this case, the one that will outlast the true crime news cycle, is not about what Brian Laundrie did. It's about August 12th, a desert road, 2 officers, a woman crying, a report that documented what they saw, and a van that drove away. Netflix documented what happened after Gabby Petito disappeared. The Moab body cam documented what happened before, 9 days before, in the window where everything could have been different.
She was excited to keep going on her journey, and that was the last time I spoke to her.
Hello, and good morning. It is really nice and sunny today.
June 5th, 2002, Salt Lake City, Utah, the middle of the night. She was 9 years old. She was in the bed next to her sisters. She heard it all. A voice broke the silence. She was told to stay still. Stay quiet. Don't make a sound. She lay completely still while her 14-year-old sister Elizabeth was taken from the room. Her name was Mary Katherine Smart, and for the next 9 months, she carried something inside her that 300 law enforcement professionals could not find. The search for Elizabeth Smart became one of the largest missing child investigations in American history. Volunteers, FBI, national coverage, 300 professionals working the case. They had almost nothing. Mary Katherine had been the only witness. But she was 9 and terrified, and the details she could provide kept shifting under the pressure of repeated interviews. Months passed. Seasons changed. Elizabeth's father went on national television and begged.
For those 9 months, and I just when I heard the entire story and his manipulation of her, I feel like he is absolutely manipulating our courts to death. And as a father, I would just ask him to consider what our family's been through, what Elizabeth's been through, and plead with him to not change the prosecutor at this point. It's totally unacceptable, and it's okay to tell. And I think Elizabeth really stood out yesterday and tried to say to other victims that, you know, this is a horrible thing that's happened. It's an outrage.
And then, several months into the investigation, Mary Katherine was looking through a book, and a name surfaced. Emmanuel, the man who had done odd jobs at their house. She remembered the voice. She remembered the face. She finally knew who had been in that room. Police released a sketch. It aired on America's Most Wanted. On March 12th, 2003, 9 months after Elizabeth was taken, a couple spotted 3 strangers walking near Sandy, Utah. Something was wrong. They called the police. Officers approached, separated the teenage girl from the adults, asked her a simple question. "Are you Elizabeth Smart?" She said yes.
Elizabeth, when you first saw her, what was going through your mind?
You know, originally we didn't realize who it was that we were speaking to. You know, quite a bit of just kind of a street side interview with her and Mitchell and Barzee. We kind of started putting 2 and 2 together. You know, and as we were speaking to them, that's when we realized who we had.
Mr. Mitchell was trying to dominate the conversation. That's when we made sure we separated everybody with a little bit of distance. She was still a little reluctant to give us the complete information that we wanted, the truth, until almost 45 minutes had passed.
I remember was hearing a voice. It was a man's voice saying, "I have a knife at your neck. Don't make a sound. Get up and come with me." Just nothing in my life had prepared me for. I did get to a point where I was like, well, if he is really going to rape and kill me, like, I need it to happen close to my house so that my parents know what happened to me.
For 9 months, she had been told to lie. Told her family didn't want her back. Told that speaking up would end in violence. Brian David Mitchell was convicted. He remains in federal prison. Wanda Barzee was released in 2018, despite the Smart family's objections. She is free. Elizabeth became one of the most recognized child safety advocates in America. She is married, she is a mother, and Mary Katherine Smart is a special education teacher. She holds a master's degree. She has spent her career helping children who need protection and support. She has been a footnote in this story for 20 years. A 9-year-old who lay still in the dark and followed an instruction that kept her alive and held a memory for 9 months that 300 professionals couldn't access, and eventually gave it to the right person and cracked a case that had gone cold. Netflix finally gave her more screen time than any previous documentary, but no single film has ever built a segment around who she is now. Netflix told Elizabeth Smart's story in her own words. Mary Katherine Smart has been telling it with her life.
Waking up in the middle of the night in my own bedroom, having this strange man standing over me, someone I didn't recognize. Not only that, but having a knife being held to my throat. I was terrified. I'm going to be raped and then I'm going to be murdered, because that's what happens to all the other children I've ever seen on the news who have been kidnapped. I want to reach out to those survivors and those victims. I want them to know that these things do happen, but that it doesn't mean that you have to be defined by it for the rest of your life. You can move forward and you can be happy.
October 2017, the Scottish Highlands, a remote road winding through moorland. Grey sky, autumn light that never fully warms, a man on a bicycle, 63 years old. Retired Royal Navy officer, cancer survivor. Father, grandfather. Midway through a 100-mile charity ride. His name was Tony Parsons. He was on mile 47 when a car came from behind. The driver was a man named Alexander McKellar, Sandy. He had been drinking.
A much-loved husband, dad and granddad. The family of Anthony Parsons paid tribute to the 63-year-old on the day twin brothers were convicted in connection with his death.
The case of 63-year-old Tony Parsons, a man who arrived in Fort William at the foot of Ben Nevis to begin what would be a very fateful journey, a journey that would have taken him on 103 miles, snaking through the spine of Scotland from the Highlands right the way back to his home in Clackmannanshire in the Tillicoultry area. Allegations of a cover-up, allegations of a killing, and that was what the court here was expecting to listen to over the course of the next couple of weeks.
Sandy did not call for help. He called his brother Robert instead, and together, the two brothers buried Tony Parsons on the estate. His phone went silent. His family didn't know why. In 2020, a forensic pathologist named Caroline Muirhead matched with Sandy McKellar on a dating app. Their relationship moved fast. Within months, he proposed. Before the wedding, she asked him to be completely honest about everything. He told her about the road, about the cyclist, about the body buried on the grounds, and then he told her the estate might soon be developed, that the gravesite could be uncovered. He began asking her, a forensic pathologist, how long it would take to burn a human body. She contacted police and agreed to help them from the inside. She went back to the estate, asked Sandy to take her clay pigeon shooting near the burial site. While he wasn't looking, she pressed an empty Red Bull can into the soil, a marker for investigators to find. During the covert period, Robert McKellar let something slip. He suggested Tony Parsons may have still been alive after the initial collision. Not dead at the roadside, alive and left there. In January 2021, Tony Parsons' remains were found on the estate. Sandy McKellar pleaded guilty to culpable homicide, 12 years. Robert pleaded guilty to concealment, 5 years, 3 months.
The twins Alexander and Robert McKellar had been due to stand trial for the murder of Anthony Parsons, but today, here at the High Court, at the start of what was expected to be a lengthy trial, Alexander instead pled guilty to the lesser charge of culpable homicide, whilst his brother Robert admitted to teaming up with Alexander to hide and then bury the body.
Tony Parsons' son later said something that has stayed with everyone who heard it. He said the family used to send his father texts, light-hearted messages, checking in, hoping he'd reply. He never did. Netflix told Caroline Muirhead's story. The story that couldn't be centered was the man his family kept texting for years. Netflix builds the story that resolves. 5 documentaries, 5 cases, and a question you may not have noticed until you've sat through all of them. Every single one of these Netflix documentaries centered the person whose story resolves. Mackenzie Shirilla. Convicted. The trial ends. The documentary has an ending. Lucy Letby. Convicted. The documentary has an ending. Brian Laundrie. Died by suicide. The documentary has an ending. Brian David Mitchell. Convicted. The documentary has an ending. Sandy McKellar pleaded guilty. The documentary has an ending. Davion Flanagan got in the car. No ending, just stopped. The scientists questioning Lucy Letby's conviction, still talking. No ending. The officers at the Moab stop, wrote a report. Let the van go. No ending available. Mary Katherine Smart went on to build a life. Not an ending, a continuation. Tony Parsons, on a road in the Highlands. No ending, just silence. The question isn't whether Netflix could have made these documentaries differently. They could have. The question is why the format requires resolution at all. What a documentary owes the people whose stories don't end cleanly. What we do with the ones who just got in the car. We're in the next bed. We're on a Highland road. We're standing in a desert traffic stop 9 days before everything went wrong. Netflix builds documentaries around the story that resolves. We found the ones that don't. Subscribe to Darkest Crimes, the story behind the headline, every week.